Have you ever thought about how the really big insights, those life-changing moments, sometimes start in the weirdest places?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I don't know, a spreadsheet maybe, or just meeting someone quiet who completely shifts how you see things.
Yeah, it's often those unexpected routes that hit the hardest, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what we're diving into today.
Right.
This really remarkable journey focused on Burt Goldman, often called the American monk. And we're seeing him through the eyes of Frank Girard. He created the Whimsical Wanderings podcast and his piece, The Monk, the Marketer, and the Miracle.
Exactly. So our mission here is basically to give you a shortcut, to understanding this pretty incredible guy.
Mm-hmm.
We want to pull out the surprising stuff, the deeper meanings from someone Frank said, didn't shout, he shimmered.
I love that description.
Me too.
Huh.
And figure out why his approach to healing and finding yourself still matters today. For you listening. Ready?
Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Burt Goldman really was an enigma. That title, The American Monk, it wasn't something he chased. It was something he sort of earned. Just by his presence, his work.
Mm.
Frank Girard paints this picture. A mystic in slacks, a healer with a camera.
A soldier turned soul whisperer.
Yeah. It just captures that mix, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Deeply spiritual, but also really grounded, accessible.
Yeah.
That quiet, sort of luminous quality was his thing.
And how Frank first bumped into his work, it just feels so, I don't know, relatable.
Yeah.
Finding him on YouTube super late at an unreasonable hour, as he put it, and admitting he was only half looking for a guided meditation, half procrastinating on folding laundry. We've all been there.
Lovely.
So amidst all the, the loud gurus online, what was it about Burt, this calm, silver-haired guy? How did his message cut through?
That's a really good question. I think it gets to the heart of Burt's unique power.
Okay.
While everyone else was yelling, Burt had this gentle clarity, especially talking about big ideas like the mind as a tool and the body as a belief system.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't just being philosophical. He was making it practical. Like your thoughts, your beliefs, they actually shape your physical reality, your experience.
So the quietness wasn't weakness.
Not at all. It was more like confidence in the truth he was sharing.
Yeah.
He didn't need to shout.
And that quiet power led Frank to do something pretty intense.
Intense is one word for it. A spiritual obsession, Frank called it.
Indexing all 400 plus of Burt's videos.
Every single one. Titles, topics, timestamps, descriptions, all into this massive spreadsheet.
The source said, even monks in the Himalayas would have bowed in respect. That's commitment.
It's amazing dedication. But it shows how much Burt's work resonated. Right?
Yeah.
It wasn't just casual viewing for Frank.
Not at all.
And then the really wild part is he emails this spreadsheet, this absurdly serendipitous creation to Burt, expecting nothing.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect a reply, really.
But Burt replies, and he says, Frank, I get contacted constantly. I've never said yes. But something about your email, your spirit made me want to say yes this time.
Wow. That's huge. Talk about an unexpected connection.
Exactly. Forged just like that.
And it wasn't just a quick email exchange, was it? They ended up working together.
For 2 years. And Frank makes it clear, it wasn't just about marketing or content strategy.
Yeah.
He said they worked on truth, on presence, on those big soul-sized ideas. It sounds like a really deep collaboration.
That depth makes you think about Burt's own path. How did he become the American monk?
Well, his life story is pretty fascinating. Born way back in 1927. Lived to 95, passed just last year, 2023.
Wow, 95.
And he served in the U.S. Army World War II. Seems like that experience left him with some big questions.
Like what?
Questions about, the mind, the spirit, and what lies beneath this strange veil we call reality. Deep stuff.
So he came back searching.
A relentless search, really. He didn't just stick to one tradition. He went global, soaking up spiritual and scientific teachings.
Any examples?
Yeah, he studied with Jose Silva, the Silva mind control method.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that, using different brain states.
Exactly. Very pioneering for its time. Burt also trained in meditation, hypnosis, energy healing, Eastern mysticism. The works.
So he wasn't just picking one lane.
Not at all. And the key thing is, he wasn't just collecting techniques like stamps. He synthesized them, created his own blend of tools described as modern, accessible, and strangely effective.
That strangely effective part is intriguing. And here's something that blew my mind a bit. Burt Goldman was Mindvalley's very first instructor.
Isn't that something? Before the app, the big events, all of that.
Before Mindvalley was, Mindvalley.
It was just Burt. calmly teaching people how to tap into deeper awareness, how to rewire their lives, building this global community almost quietly.
So when we talk about his core teachings, what stands out? I know quantum jumping is a big one.
Definitely. That's probably his most mind-bending idea,
Yeah.
but also weirdly practical.
Okay, break it down. Mind-bending how?
Well, the basic idea is there are infinite versions of you right now, existing in parallel universe.
Okay, hang on. Infinite versions,
Like a version who's a best-selling author, maybe one who's a master chef, one who's, I don't know, living peacefully on a farm somewhere.
that sounds pretty wild. How did he make that practical? How could you use that?
Right. See, that's the genius of it. It wasn't just a cool thought experiment. Burt taught that through guided visualization, you could mentally jump into these other selves.
Okay.
And by doing that, you weren't just daydreaming. You were actually tapping into their wisdom, their skills, their confidence, bringing those qualities back into this reality.
So it's like bypassing your own limiting beliefs by connecting with a version of you that doesn't have them.
You got it. It shifts your mindset from, I can't do that, to a part of me already knows how. It's about activating potential you didn't realize you had, repatterning your brain, essentially.
Okay, that makes more sense. Less sci-fi, more advanced psychology, maybe.
Kind of. A blend of visualization, belief work, and, yeah, maybe a little bit of quantum thinking.
So do people actually, do things with this, get real results?
Oh, absolutely. The source mentions people using quantum jumping for all sorts of things. Writing books they were stuck on, fixing relationships, launching businesses.
Wow.
And yeah, apparently someone even used it to start painting like Van Gogh.
Seriously, Van Gogh!
That's what it says. It really highlights how much Burt believed in people's hidden potential. He saw possibilities people didn't see in themselves. It was about aligning yourself internally.
And Burt himself seemed like living proof of unlocking potential, didn't he? He wasn't just a teacher.
Not even close. A true Renaissance man. You think you've got him pegged as the mind guy, then bam.
Yeah.
He was also a professional photographer, a painter whose art sold in galleries.
And he started painting late in life, right?
In his 80s.
Yeah.
It wasn't just dabbling. He was exhibiting and selling his work pretty quickly.
That's incredible. What else?
He was a composer,
Mm-hmm.
a poet,
Mm-hmm.
an energy healer. And apparently he could out-yoga your yoga teacher. Composed his own music, wrote guided meditations, apparently helped heal people from afar. And always with a smile, the stories say. Just incredibly prolific.
It really paints a picture of someone fully living their potential. Which brings us back to Frank Girard.
The impact on Frank was clearly immense. He talks about Burt helping him through really tough times, grief, doubt, heartbreak.
How specifically? What did Burt do or say?
Well, Burt gave him this mantra, almost. During those dark moments, he'd say, there's a version of you, Frank, that's already beyond this. Let's go visit him.
Wow. That's direct and ties right back into quantum jumping.
Exactly. It wasn't just sympathy. It was a tool, a direction.
And Frank used it.
He did. He meditated, visualized, he jumped. And he says he found, well, not just peace, but actual strength. And interestingly, a bit of whimsy.
Whimsy? That's unexpected.
It is, but it fits with Burt's whole vibe, doesn't it? That quote Frank shares about healing.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't always look like a thunderclap. Sometimes it looks like a quiet smile and a paintbrush.
Right. It's about that subtle internal shift, not necessarily fireworks.
It's a beautiful way to think about it. Burt passed in 2023 at 95.
Yeah, but like Frank put it, very monk-like. He didn't go. He simply changed forms. His voice is still there in the recordings, his art's still out there, his teachings. Frank says they continue to save lives and open eyes, including his own, clearly.
And it all started, really, with that spreadsheet.
Crazy, isn't it? The monk and the marketer. Frank sums it up. Apparently, a spreadsheet, a friendship, and a legacy.
And that shift in Frank himself, from seeing the mind as just like a tool for work.
Yeah, for clever headlines.
To understanding the mind as a universe, the soul as a map. That feels like the core of Burt's gift, maybe. That quiet, perspective-shifting power.
I think so. It underlines everything.
So wrapping this up, what are the main things we should take away about Burt Goldman, this American monk?
For me, it's that quiet power. His huge influence came without shouting. His journey from, soldier to mystic gave him this incredible range.
Right.
And he didn't just keep the wisdom theoretical. He offered practical tools, like quantum jumping, that people could actually use. He proved wisdom can shimmer, not just shout.
And that really feels like the invitation to you listening. What happens when you let belief and curiosity meet?
Mm,
Maybe the most potent insights don't come from the loudest voices, but from that quieter, knowing presence within others or maybe even within yourself.
absolutely. And maybe the simplest, most profound takeaway is Bert's own reminder. You're already where you need to be. Just remember.
Such a simple line, but so much in it. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What possibilities are sitting inside you, just waiting? Maybe only a quiet visualization. Or just a little shift in belief.
Whoa.
Away.